You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Are you looking for a place to listen to your favorite music and sports? Look no further. WLSN, the LVII Sports and Music Network, is a web-based music and sports network. Our network was created to provide authentic, high-energy entertainment through live streaming to a national audience. We play popular music while hosting podcasts from all over the world. Curious? Check us out on the web at LVIBsports.com. That's LEEIB sports.com. Or find us on the TuneIn Radio app. Got Alexa? Just say, Alexa, play WLSN on TuneIn. WLSN is America's #1 blog-themed sports and music network.
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
You blitz all night. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
Extremely proud of you guys on your focus and your ability to lock in all week long this week. So, what I'm going to do now, okay, because you're going brand new at football coach.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We did it our way, baby! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Huddle Up Podcast, Tuesday night, February the 15th, 2022. And we are glad to be back with you one more time for this NFL season as we close the books, as the NFL did just a few nights ago in Los Angeles. And, well, the guy joining me tonight were you still in LA for the game? You didn't leave till Monday morning, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
The student of the game, Kyle Nash, joining us back home after a journey out to the Super Bowl. We'll touch on that here in just a minute, but remind everyone you can follow the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. You can get the merchandise for the show at whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
And make sure you check that out. Subscribe on all podcast platforms, YouTube as well. Find all of our links on our link tree on our social medias. And you can, get everything Huddle Up related there. So, Kyle, before we dive into the game, the analysis and all of that, quite a journey for you over the past week or so. Yes. Covering the big game out in LA. Talk about the experience, my friend.
Man, listen, it was crawling in people that are like, hey, it's so-and-so, hey, it's so-and-so, hey, and so-and-so. Listen, I can tell you, I'll sum it up this way. On one of the air quotes celebrity slower days for me personally, because I actually somewhere in there had to, cover the Bengals as assigned, I on the way in the morning on the way out, I ran into Sean Payton. And on the way back into radio, bro, I ran to Coach Ogeron, okay? If I'm Louisianian, I'm a happy MFer, okay? Granted, they're not because they're both former Louisianians technically, but details.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Coach O, I will say Coach O had a great interview on Dan Patrick last week.
Absolutely. And then after that, the next day, he called me by my name. Sure, he just read my name tag, but that's not the point.
Hey.
Well, you're doing a great job, Kyle. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, Coach.
Well,
Has
fantastic.
Coach Overall ever told you you're doing a good job, Jim? Well, he should, but he hasn't. That's the
I
problem.
know. Well, that's maybe on the docket for next year. Hopefully, we can work on that.
I
He's
like the
taking the
sound of
year
that.
off, so maybe you never know. Yeah, Travis, congratulations, the Rams. Congratulations, Von Miller. Of course, we'll talk about the game coming up
Ring
here.
number 2 for the former Super Bowl MVP. Yes.
Absolutely. So yeah, Kyle, we might as well dive right into it. A few nights ago, the Los Angeles Rams 23, the Cincinnati Bengals 20. Really, a fun game to watch early on, and I know you had the I'm sure you had it the draft, the tweet draft saved for me for the end of the game, because early on, man, this one looked like it was going to get out of hand. It certainly looked like it was just about over. The Bengals fought back eventually, obviously losing the game, but yeah, I mean, congrats to the Rams, Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald.
Excuse me. That's John Matthew Stafford and Aaron Charles Donald. Yes, Aaron Charlet Donald. I'm not making that part up.
Is that seriously his middle name
he is another Aaron Charlet. And he plays a completely different position, dude. It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
I know. As I was looking it up during the Football is Awesome podcast with our missing colleague tonight, Ernest Christian, and like my mind was blown. Like I started to say it correctly because I was reading it, and then EJ goes, Charlet? Aaron Charlet Donald. Oh my God.
Did EJ just get tired of us just dunking on him that hard on this show?
I can't help but notice, Jim, that I had pointed out during my final grading of the Bengals that the most rampant moment of I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen all year was me putting the Bengals top 10 early in the year when I did. We're over your vast stupidity of the top 10 Bears thing. Okay, we're fine there. But
1 week.
You listen, you made other mistakes. I'm just not, they're
just not as egregious. And
thank you. Exactly. Like
I never tried to defend that Bears at week 4 after that. It wasn't like him trying to find new and creative ways to keep the Chiefs in the top 1, the Titans in the top 4, and so on.
If you're John Gruden's politically incorrect emails, he is Stephen Ross trying to pay off Brian Flores.
Wow.
That is a disgusting act.
Oh, you went right past Owen Wilson. You went right to the disgusting. Okay, hey, fair enough, man.
Right to it. No, EJ a little under the weather. Hopefully he's feeling better.
Yes.
As we work through the off season, I'm sure we'll get him back here. As we do that, but yeah, a fun game, a quality Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
It came right down to the wire. But yes, your thoughts on it. I think we kind of derailed into quasi dunking on EJ, which is far too easy on this show.
I mean, yeah, anyone can dunk when the rim is 7 foot. But what it is, this was a very good Super Bowl. First off, let me give the press credit for not just lazily handing the award to John Matthew Stafford, sorry. It's appropriate that he sounds like somebody who's attempted to like snipe a president as an assassination, because as a quarterback, one does have to have that kind of accuracy.
Wow.
There's your Owen Wilson, bitch. No, but John Matthew Stafford certainly did his job. I don't know that we're in that place where we could say first ballot Hall of Fame at all. I don't know that I'm ever going to get there, but at the very least, it's fun watching all the other former haters jump on this bandwagon like me and Ernest Julius Christian tried to tell you people that Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. However, he did have a couple moments in this game that weren't great. And if anybody remembers my prediction of 31-18, it's not so much that I was wrong as I did not account for the anomalies that would have allowed for that to happen. For example, him underthrowing Jefferson for that interception to Bates. Listen, that ball was there. And if he does his job and puts the ball where it needs to be, I got 30 to 20 instead of 31-18.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, yeah, that was a grossly underthrown ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford made mistakes, and I agree. Like, because that was one of the things that I was going to look at in terms of the game is, did they make the right choice at MVP? Like, and when I think it was when we were going over the prop bets, I think it was QB or the field, and I said the field. Like, and
So
it's
did
not
I.
that I didn't think that Stafford or Burrow, whoever wins, was going to be deserving of it. I just thought that there are. Look, you have a second-year quarterback behind a terrible offensive line, and you have a beat-up quarterback. Matt Stafford is a Hall of Famer. Let's get that out of the way, because there's a lot of people hopping on this Richard Sherman train trying to like rewrite history or something.
Let's talk about that later too, if you please.
Absolutely. And Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer. Period. You can, if you want to debate first ballot, go ahead. I agree with you. I don't think he's there yet. Now, if they rattle off another Super Bowl or two while he's still playing, then I think we have a different discussion on our hands.
I would argue it doesn't necessarily need to take Super Bowls. I think if he continues to throw 4,000-yard passing years at a clip this high, listen, the dude is one game away from 50,000 yards in his career.
Fair. Let's might as well tackle the Sherman thing now, because it's all.
And I'm glad you're pulling up the tweet, because you will give me the precise message, and I will tell you to the precise degree that there is an overcapacity of excrement in the points that he makes. And I like Richard Sherman. I think he's a smart dude. But
right. Yeah, very smart guy. So this was a tweet he said, we're talking about on the podcast, but the Hall of Fame bar is incredibly low now, like a participation trophy. No all-decade
Tell that
team.
to Torrey Holt, by the way. Continue.
Right. No all-decade team, no all-pro, no MVP, one Pro Bowl, not even MVP of the Super Bowl. Never considered the best in any year he played. At least Matt Ryan has an MVP.
The Matt Ryan card. First of all, he shouldn't have won the MVP that year. I said it.
Right. Like, I mean, look, because we're going to talk about them later, but like, an MVP award is voted on by people who put Zach Taylor as the 4th best coach of the year this year, and he got 2 votes.
Wait a minute. Jim Neese, are you trying to tell me that there's a popularity contest involved in some fashion?
I'm just saying that the
well, no, Jim. The reason why I'm sorry, I'd hate to do this to you and obliterate your point as if you're Ernest Julius Christian trying to tell me once again that the Chiefs are God's gift, or which one of his 72 teams we're talking about in this particular set of time. So that's decided by people voting. Oh, I've yet begun to fight, motherfucker. Anyways. So we're talking about something that's voted on by somebody, okay?
That's correct.
Who in the lexicon is actually popular that has ever worn a Detroit Lions jersey? And no, I'm not counting Joey Harrington, Barry Sanders, and go.
I mean, Calvin Johnson, fairly popular.
Okay.
And the list ends there.
I'll even give you Night Train Lane.
Okay.
For you historians out there, the first great defensive back, who, by the way, could never play in this day and age because he loved clothesline and MF.
Right.
Okay. But the list stops there, right?
Yes.
And in 3rd or 4th place probably is John Matthew Stafford. Okay. So there's problem number 1 there. Archie Manning is a fantastic quarterback. But you never heard about him in a lot of cases until you met his sons. Why? The dude played on an awful team. Okay? Now, I don't see Barry Sanders necessarily rattling off MVPs because idiots out there in the press have linked performance to whom the best MVP is. So point number 1 by Richard Sherman, wrong as hell. And again, I respect Richard Sherman as a statesman of the LOB and somebody who turned out to be an excellent corner playing for a rival. How often does that happen? Not very much. Okay. Pro Bowlers. You tell me the last Lions Pro Bowler not named Calvin Johnson Okay. Also fan voted. Also media voted. I mean, Tony Baselli is the first Jaguar to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we're all going to sit here and act like Fred Taylor, Mark Brunell, and Jimmy Smith don't exist. Jimmy Smith was suspended 4 games in a year where he threw about caught about 870 yards worth of passes. Okay? He would have broken 1,000 yards that season. Why is that significant? Great question, Jim. You're my man. That's why you host your own show.
Exactly,
the only person who would have had more 1,000-yard receiving seasons than him would have been Jerry Rice. And I do need to learn his middle name, by the way. I get that. Chris Carter tied with him. But is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Let me check with Torrey Holt. Okay?
It's Lee, by the way. Jerry Lee Rice.
Jerry Lee Rice. I feel like I did know that. So Jerry Lee.
Now you know again.
There you go. Learn it all again for the first time. Jerry Lee Rice is the only person with more 1,000-yard receiving seasons than him. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay? People forget that John Matthew Stafford has thrown 4,500-yard plus seasons, 5,000-yard seasons even, and he's done it at times without Megatron.
Right.
With a team who's been their best receiver? Golden Tate?
Woof.
I mean, you know, there's other guys. I'm using that name jokingly, but like that's the caliber of dude. And
the only reason he's throwing so much is because the Lions are always trailing. That's another argument I always hear from people.
And that's his fault?
Right, exactly.
You don't hold that against Dan Marino, which, by the way, had just as good a running talent as Matthew Stafford. Hell, you want to talk about, well, the Lions haven't won a playoff game. MFer, they didn't make the playoffs.
Right. The only reason they got to 2 or 3 playoffs was because of Stafford.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not here trying to tell you the Red Rifle is a Hall of Famer because he got the Bengals to the playoffs. But then again, Stafford was hurt the first 2 years. He's healthy 1 year and they get to the playoffs. It's kind of like Garoppolo with the Niners. He's healthy 1 year and they're a quarter away from being Super Bowl champions, but nobody wants to talk about that.
Right.
Okay. Using team-related stuff to give individual effort is just wrong. It's the same reason why I hold certain things against Thomas Edward Beaver Brady. And it's the same reason to stay consistent. I have to prop up Jonathan Matthew Stafford here. This guy has, and oh, by the way, 2 games a year against Aaron Charlie Rodgers and staring down Khalil Mack in Chicago of late. We're going to act like those aren't factors?
Right. Right. It's insane. Like, you know, are you like, I don't even necessarily like, I don't get it. I don't get, you know, what did Stafford piss in Sherman's Cheerios one time? You know, did he tie his shoelaces together at the Pro Bowl or something? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't get it. I thought it was very strange, and I don't know if it was just to get the reaction that he's been getting.
Well, and Sherm, listen, Sherm is smart enough to get the game of flash and glitz. Like, this is a receiver turn corner, and then we're shocked that he's confident and cocky. Dude, that's the job. Listen, I don't want Antonio Brown necessarily, but I do want a cocky receiver on my team because I want him to be out there for him to show off and glitz and glam, because receivers on the whole in the game only get so many opportunities to shine. They don't touch the ball every down, okay? Right. And so long as you block, you get the rock when you get open and you get your opportunity to shine. I don't want to be one of these coaches that says to them, hey, don't dive and don't do all this. Bad things could happen. No, you get the ball, you do your damnedest. And if we lose a couple games because that happens in a very close situation where if you had gotten it, we would have won, for example, I'm going to let that slide. You know, this is the kind of thing where this is a situation where you have to be at least a little bit confident in yourself to get what you're going to get. That's how Sherman's successful. We've all seen the Crabtree speech, and if you haven't YouTubed it, and then YouTube the parody where he's talking to Mean Street. I can't even
Right. I mean, if you're here, if you're here on this show, I would be shocked if you haven't seen the Sherman the post gamer.
But I say all the above to say I think he's kind of stuck because Sherman's a guy who has been at that high level and has succeeded. I think he's a little bit biased towards somebody who he looks. It's like how old money looks at new money, right? Somebody may have been grinding for years and just finally made it. Somebody could, I don't know, have been working doing media stuff on his own for 18, 19 years and finally gotten to cover a Super Bowl. Just thinking of an example off the top of my head.
I mean, if I know anybody like that, I'm very proud of them.
Well, bring them up as you see fit. But the punchline is this, my friend. I think it's just I can hold a straight face. That was awesome, Jim. Yeah, I think it's a situation where he sees things that he's proud of on his resume, and it's okay for him to be, and
Absolutely.
think that should be the measuring stick for getting to the Hall of Fame, and it's just not, and it shouldn't be. This whole use of team achievement to rate a guy's individual performance has been wrong. It's cost Russell Carrington Wilson MVP votes. It's cost other people opportunities that should have gotten them. John Matthew Stafford among them. That's going to take some getting used to. This whole I'm going by my middle name shit is throwing me off.
Yeah, I never knew that.
I didn't either until I was today years old, bitches. Okay.
Yep, I was as well. I absolutely was.
My man. Now that's it, Jim. It's like, see, I'm going to make a Richard Sherman. I'm going to make a Richard Sherman parallel there. You doing that doesn't mean you actually have legs strong enough to dunk. But because I heard that in Richard Sherman form, I'm assuming you can do a motherfucking 360. Okay.
There we go.
By the way, the biggest cursing I've done on your show right there. Anyway,
gotta love it. But yeah, Stafford definitely a Hall of Famer. But I agree with the decision to not have him as the MVP.
100%. I'm not mad at Cooper Kupp. ...
Do you think he should have not been the MVP?
Correct.
Aaron Donald?
Aaron Charlie Donald. Absolutely. Oh, but Kyle, Cooper Kupp had all these catches and yards and touchdowns.
Wait, let me. Because I think the fact, because they talked about this on Dan Patrick yesterday, and I don't think I realized that this was the case, because the MVP votes, Super Bowl MVP votes, have to be put in before the 2-minute warning.
Correct.
That probably played a factor. If you can get those in at the end of the game, I think Aaron Donald wins the MVP. Because
I don't, but I like your confidence in humanity.
Or it's co-MVP, something, I don't know. But because in those last 2 minutes, not that Aaron Donald didn't have he had already made his case.
Yes.
His case was cemented in those final 2 minutes. I think the fact that because the touchdown was scored before the 2-minute warning, right? If memory serves.
It would have been, God, I'd have to look it up, but it was pretty damn close. I'm going to say, well, actually, it wouldn't have been actually scored because Joe Burrow had fewer than 2 minutes to work with. Yeah.
Let me.
So
So it was after. It was with 125 left to go. So at that point, Kupp only has one touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily if I don't even agree with it as much. I mean, he's still at that point at 7 receptions for a time. Man, I don't know. I think it should have been Donald too. I mean, that really kind of was the difference. That was the defensive play and getting at him. I'm fine with Kupp winning it, I suppose, but I do think it should have been Donald, and I do think that if the voting changes, which everybody's got one of these. How is the voting still have to be how can whoever's voting on that award? I mean, do they just assume that people are in the flurry of the end of the game not going to remember
Correct.
to log their
Yes,
vote? Is
that's
that
very real. Like, let me give you another perspective, Jimnese, as somebody who has had to make MVP votes for bowl games, not the Super Bowl, of course. But like my best example, I'll bring this close to home for you.
Oh boy.
No, don't worry, it works out good for you actually.
Oh, okay. Good.
One of the worst weather games I've covered, and one of the fastest by extension, was when your Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Coach O's Go Tigers came into Orlando to play in the Citrus Bowl, right?
Yes.
You would know this game as the emergence of Ian Book.
Yes.
He comes in the second half and eventually throws the pass that decides the game. Up to that point, running back Darius Geis looked like he was going to pull off some amazing history by being the only two-time MVP in the history of the two-time back-to-back Citrus Bowl MVP on the strength of his performance. But lo and behold, back goes Ian Book, slings it. I forget the receiver's name, gets the big touchdown. And you know, to hear Coach O's analysis, they just weren't able to make the tackle, right? I love the way he says tackle.
It's fantastic.
Like, I almost asked him to do it when I talked to him, but I wondered if it would have been creepy if I said, hey coach, can you say tackle for me? Like that would have been too much.
I don't need anything else. Just say tackle for me.
Well, honestly,
it's like a weird like OnlyFans request. Like, coach, can you just say tackle into a microphone 10 times?
Part of me is fully disgusted, and yet part of me is strangely curious. Moving on. Audio only, coach. Don't get your hopes up.
Oh, yes, the audio only.
Audio only, coach. No, but once he said, once he had called me by my name, like I'm like, okay, no, don't push the envelope, kid. Anyways, so I had turned in Darius Geis because I'm worried that I won't have time to get everything together. And I don't have a deadline. I'm writing typically for an independent format, one of which that you were aware of my affiliation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one scenario, right? Then most writers, I'm going to put it in air quotes, don't watch the game to the same level of depth and rely heavily on statistics. The lamestream media, Big Jim, is slave.
Box score writers.
Yes, as slave to statistics. You're at the game and you're still writing the box score. Well, that's unacceptable. Technically speaking, fans are right. Here's the challenge that somebody in the press box voting for this thing has. They may have a deadline. They're trying to live tweet because UMFers want interaction. And they're attempting to also watch the game while writing somewhere in there an article that you'll allegedly click on later in the day, evening, whatever. And oh, by the way, now you expect an in-depth analysis of a position with which they have no familiarity. As a matter of fact, the only way anyone can pronounce defensive tackle is now the late departed John Madden. And nobody's supposed to cheer for a defensive tackle. We've had the conversation about Ndamukong Suh and the Heisman Trophy already.
Right.
This is no different. Meanwhile, going into the game, even though Aaron Charlie Donald has had plenty of hype, Home Slice is fresh off of winning the Offensive Player of the Year, triple crowning the damn receiver spot. They were expecting this to happen, especially when Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt.
Yeah, that's a bad beat, man. And you know, I've had my gripes about Odell over the years, but man, you hate to see it, especially considering it's the same knee that he tore a couple years ago.
Right.
So you know that's going to be an off-season story, and to see you know what the recovery is for him there. But what's up, Devin? How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
let's stay kind of in the Stafford world. And this is something like I was talking with my better half about on Sunday night after the game. Like, because you wonder.
By the way, I know you mean your wife. You wouldn't be saying your brother because he hates crinkle fries.
That's correct. Yeah. No, that's my best friend Ryan. He's crinkle fries. I've never had.
Sorry. Excuse me.
I've never actually had a crinkle fry discussion with my brother, and I should probably do that at some point.
I mean, listen, these are things you need to know. Like, listen,
it is important.
You think you know MFer, and there he comes with a crinkle fry take. I mean,
but with there's some people that speculate that Aaron Donald may be retiring. That kind of came out in the afternoon, but then you got to wonder. There may be questions. If Matthew Stafford returns, I believe does he have one more year on his deal?
I believe so.
Okay, or if it's an option year, anyhow, and it's like, will he return? Should he return? And like, I started thinking through it. I'm like, even if he was contemplating retirement, like if you go into a game thinking, okay, if I win this, maybe it's just better to ride off on top. I've been beat up in Detroit over the years and all of this, and if I get that crowning moment, maybe it's better to walk off. But man, like you start looking through the NFC, and I can't find a reason why Matt Stafford shouldn't return, because you look in division. There's question marks with what the Seahawks are going to do around their quarterback position. The 49ers look like they are going to hand the ball to Trey Lance. The Cardinals, who knows what's going on there all of a sudden.
Tyler's fine. He's just negotiating.
I think he will be back there. He will be under center. I think this is a lot of smoke and mirrors. Pay attention to me, whatever it is.
Posturing.
Right. I think he'll be back there, whatever. The NFC East is the NFC East. We'll leave it at that. I don't think the football team formerly known as the football team is going to do anything. I don't think the Giants are going to be
comrade.
Right. I don't think the Giants are going to magically become a contender. I don't think the Eagles are going to magically become a contender. And I don't have faith that my Cowboys are magically going to become a contender. So the NFC East is the NFC East. Then you look at the South. Take your pick.
There is a power vacuum.
And they're not a contender.
There is a power vacuum. But by the way, in the case of Tampa, at least, since we've proven that somebody who doesn't turn the ball over like Jameis Winston can win in that lineup, listen, like, don't be shocked if Jimmy Grops goes there and wins his first Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa is the best case scenario in the South, but depending who they get, I mean, New Orleans, no. Atlanta, no. Carolina, no. And then in the North, what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? Detroit's Detroit. Minnesota, new head coaching staff.
Are you trying to say that you scoff at golf?
Minnesota is a new coaching staff and a quarterback that still can't win in prime time. And then you have the Bears.
Are you trying to say that watching Minnesota's offense is like kissing your cousins?
I see what you did there. And the Bears are the Bears. So,
oh no, they're the 10th best team.
That is a disgusting act.
If you're Matt Stafford, even if you had made up your mind without telling anybody, I'm retiring. If you said to your wife, all right, if we win, I'm retiring. I'm going home Sunday night after that game, and I'm looking at and I'm going, I am not retiring this year. I am going back next year, and I'm going back again. Because I feel like, even with the list of free agents, Beckham, Miller, Williams, Sony Michael, I mean, Schefter put the tweet out. There's heavy hitters on that list, don't get me wrong.
Heavy-ish, right.
Heavy-ish. But, like, I mean, you look at it. I mean, Von Miller, you kind of
he's the biggest one. Yeah,
he's the biggest one, and you kind of probably expected that with what you did to get him there. I mean, you brought him in as a rental. Beckham hurt. Sony Michael, you can fill in a running back.
He was a rental too. He's just there because Henderson got hurt. Let's be clear.
Correct. So it's on paper. There's a lot there, but even with that, to me, I feel like, and we'll go down the list of odds for next year's Super Bowl in a second, but the Rams to me, and they are, if you follow the money, the odds-on favorite to win the NFC next year.
Well, right. I mean, mostly because the next two contenders are greatly disappointing. Even though I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. I even got it wrong myself. That's how much people didn't listen, right? With the Packers. I warned you the Niners. I warned me that the Niners were a bad matchup. Okay? So with Trey Lance coming in the fold, maybe Aaron finally gets back to the championship game. But yeah, you mentioned the power vacuum with the Broncos. Excuse me, the Bucks. I beg your pardon, Broncos. Oh, it's appropriate. That's Denver.
The Denver Broncos.
Nice. That was fantastically done. Yeah, I mean, it's really got to be the Rams or, the Cardinals, assuming Kyler Murray comes into play. I can't comment on any other NFC team yet because I don't know where Russell Carrington Wilson's going to play. I'm just fairly certain it's not in Seattle.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, granted, we're saying a lot of stuff, and we haven't even drafted anybody for Christ's sake.
It's always the far too early discussion when you're talking about these things right outside of the Super Bowl.
I would be more shocked with the retirement of John Matthew Stafford than I would be Aaron Charlet Donald, because Aaron Charlet Donald has described his motivation as pushing to that promised land.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's gotten his Super Bowl and he's the best dude at the position, or forget position, people are calling him the best football player in the league, right? How do you continue to supplant that? He's already a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a should-be MVP. Multiple Pro Bowls, right?
I mean, where else do you find that motivation? And I mean, the guy plays a grueling, tough position,
correct,
and has been doing it at the top of the league for almost a decade,
facing constant double, effing triple teams.
Absolutely. He's beat up. I mean, he's still at the top of his game, and he's beat up. And that's the even more impressive part.
Listen, I don't know if the Aaron Charlet Donald retirement talk is real from him or not. He didn't comment for anything meaningful after the game. But if you're serious about keeping him around, the key is to convince Von Miller to be retained at a rate of a Twilight All-Star, right?
Yes,
which is what he is.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not. He's still great. Don't get me wrong, but he's not, 26 and in his prime anymore.
Him and anybody else that creates even the random moment where Aaron Charlet Donald actually gets a one-on-one, because that's the key. By the way, Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, is the real champion, folks. Him coming out here with 5 down linemen to force a one-on-one for Aaron Charlet Donald is what won that game, is what made him the MVP.
Yes.
Because when he's in there and can penetrate, giggity, and he's pulling down running backs with one arm, you may laugh at my joke, Jim, but that running back wasn't laughing.
No.
Joey B didn't find a damn thing funny.
How the hell did the Bengals not have Joe Mixon in near the end of that game? Was he hurt?
I think it was a situation where they didn't think they were fooling anybody, that they were going to throw the ball. And their receiver core is pretty damn good, Chief.
I mean, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Let's not underrate that. I mean, Boyd was their top guy at one point, and now they have enough talent into where he's the third, and he seems to be
which
good
is
with it.
insane. Which is
You know,
insane.
I mean, and listen. We're talking all
Which is
this Ram
impressive
stuff.
because you have a guy that can't see and catch the ball. So that's your number one.
Yeah. I mean, an absolute bust. What are they thinking?
Bust.
I mean, the only way he scored a touchdown is off of a call that wasn't made. Okay, that part's true. But
That is true.
I mean, by the way, can we stop with the talk of the Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the league crap?
Oof.
He's been overrated for some time, and now I'm confirmed, finally. If he didn't, and by the way, it was just one game. How close were we to another Brady Super Bowl? Thanks to that expletive deleter. Okay.
You're not wrong.
So,
all right, let's look at the odds for next year. These were from DraftKings, I believe. The Chiefs plus 650 are at the top. Bills plus 700. Your top NFC. Yeah, it's actually probably good. EJ wasn't here this week.
Well, no, it'd have been great for him, even ignored us, because all his teams are still in the running. Boom.
Like I said, Rams from the NFC plus 1,000, Bengals plus 1,200, 49ers plus 1,400, second highest on the NFC.
Here's a hint:
side.
dodge that bet.
Yeah, I mean, Packers plus 15, Cowboys plus 16, Buccaneers plus 18. I understand that and don't get me wrong, these things will dramatically move once quarterbacks begin to dramatically move and draft picks begin to dramatically move in a couple of months. The Titans and the Ravens plus 2,000, Broncos plus 2,200, Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers, Colts plus 25, Vikings plus 3,000, Saints plus 3,500. I feel like they'll way too high.
Plus 5,000, yeah.
Seahawks, Browns, Eagles, Dolphins plus 4, Raiders plus 5,000. Falcons, Commanders, and Steelers plus 6,000. All of those probably feel high. The Steelers maybe not, depending what they do at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
Bears, Panthers plus 8, Giants plus 10, Jaguars plus 12.5.
That's too high, actually, in my opinion.
Lions
No. I should say it's too cruel. Like, listen, Trevor Lawrence is a thing, and if Coach Doug Peterson could come in, listen. Steve Mariucci, when I asked him about this, made a very good, great point about his former backup quarterback to Brett Favre. Yes, I'm name dropping. Suck it.
Do what you got to do, man.
Talked about he was very excited about what he may be able to do with Trevor Lawrence, and I think Maurice Jones-Drew put it best: is the thing you got to watch most closely. Yes, more name dropping. Deal with it.
Fine. You got to
go. I think the interaction with Trent Baalke that Maurice Jones-Drew points out, Mojo's 100% right. That's going to be what drives the success of the Jags. But I think their current number is too high. The Jags roster isn't necessarily terrible.
No, it's and
we talked about this.
We talked about this last week before you were able to jump on. Is like one of the key things at this point with that organization is just putting a team around Lawrence. Like nobody with a functioning brain is questioning the talent of Trevor Lawrence.
But I mean, listen, DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, not a bad duo. Okay, you got a great veteran who's more than just a possession receiver. He's a pretty good guy, and DJ Chark to take the top off the defense, man.
Sure. Rounding out, Lions plus 15,000 and the Texans and Jets plus 20,000. They're always it's always just a fun thing to highlight. It's really never anything to take seriously because like we've said, free agents haven't begun moving, draft picks haven't begun moving, the NFL draft hasn't happened yet. I mean the Vikings just today finalizing their new head coach. So
KJ Osborne, by the way, receiver, very excited about getting an offensive hire in the room.
Yeah. So take these things with a grain of salt.
That being said, you degenerates out there, the Ravens is the correct bet here.
Yeah, I mean them being in the middle of the pack, I think is probably your best play. Absolutely. I mean, potentially Cardinals at 2,500 too in the middle, just because hopefully that offense will stabilize and DeAndre Hopkins won't be hurt next year.
I was about to say, an inevitable injury somewhere derails them.
Sure.
Period.
Let's look back to last week. We're not going to go over every single one of these awards because I certainly don't care about all of them enough to do that. But the NFL honors were last week. I don't think any of these, some of the bigger ones are really.
Speaking of Michael Key nailing the hosting duties, by the way.
I didn't watch, so I
okay. We'll check the "We're Back" song, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
All right, we'll do. Rookie of the Year, Jamar Chase. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt.
Well, the TJ Watt thing, the biggest problem there is how many votes he got compared to Aaron Charlie Donald, and I'll leave it at that.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jamar Chase. Offensive Player of the Year, Cooper Kupp.
Absolutely correct.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons.
You're not a homer. There's a reason it was unanimous.
Oh, I mean, the dude's a monster. I mean, just fantastic. I can't wait to see him continue to grow in that role. Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow.
You're a homer. You're wrong. It's him.
I'll still disagree with it. Biased will be admitted.
Hey, listen, EJ disagreed with the Bengals at number 10. Just saying.
Assistant Coach of the Year, Cowboys Defensive Coordinator Dan Quinn. I think that one's fair for what that team did. MVP, they got it right. Aaron Rodgers. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. For all of my personal dispositions with Aaron Rodgers, he was your MVP. I know there was people who wanted it to be Jonathan Taylor. Hell, I wanted it to be Jonathan Taylor in early November. The problem was he got to December and disappeared. And disappeared is an unfair word,
right?
But he it's not his fault. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, if you look at the stats in that Jacksonville game, he was held low, but he wasn't bad.
Yeah, like it wasn't Jonathan Taylor's fault. I think coaching, play calling, other factors, Carson Wentz helped derail an MVP campaign for Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, again, not a team success shouldn't dictate an MVP award, but I think part of being the MVP is producing, especially at the time of year that when your team needs it the most, and I think that's probably what hurt Jonathan Taylor the most for me.
Fair, yeah. You stoinked in week 17, that's pretty bad. I agree with you, and I think that was a situation where it was a tie break. Let's say the best case scenario was that it was a tie break. He lost the tie break.
Yeah. Let's go to this. The Pro Bowl got the Pro Bowl got some reaction last week. And they were talking about this a couple days last week on the Dan Patrick Show and some other shows, and how the Pro Bowl kind of devolved into two-hand touch. Now, I didn't watch. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Pro Bowl. Probably not in my adult lifetime. All-star games aren't for me. It's just how it is. But for years I have said that I don't even get playing the Pro Bowl as a football game. First, like every other sport, major sport, let's go there. NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball plays their all-star game in the middle of the season. Everybody's, kind of at the peak of the year, all of this. The NFL, to do it at the end of the year, and I get it. Like, you're probably going to have players caring less about it mid-season. You're going to ask them to go mid-season and risk themselves in a game. Hell to the no. But you're going to ask, in some cases, guys who have not played football in a month to, travel to, in this case, Las Vegas, to suit up and play a game when it's their downtime. It's their time to heal up after the season and all of this. The Pro Bowl as a game has never really made sense to me. I would like to see the NFL transition the Pro Bowl into, find a way to do some sort of like skills competitions, something. And I know they do some of that stuff.
Find a way to do, Jim. They've already had great television in doing that. They don't have to invent a damn thing. Just make that the contest.
Right, just make that full. Like, done. My wife and I were talking about, like, because like people were complaining, especially ex-players were complaining that the Pro Bowl turned into like a two-hand touch game. Like we were saying, like make it like touch football or flag football. I would find that probably more entertaining than the dribble that they're throwing out as the Pro Bowl as it is. But ultimately, for me, I've always said, give me a skills competition on this Sunday. I'll tune in. I watch the NHL skills competition. Hell, I watch
that's cool
the
too.
AHL skills competition every year.
Yeah.
I watch the home run derby. I
don't. That's see that ain't the same.
I don't sit and watch all 4.5 hours of it, but I do tune in.
Okay.
It's like I tune in to watch some baseball. I don't tune in to watch all 4.5 hours of a game.
They found a way to make baseball more boring with the home run derby. That's my point.
And now that we don't get Chris Berman back, you make it even less entertaining.
It's right out, exactly.
I tune into the 3-point contest and the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
So like, give me that on a Sunday. I'll tune in for that NFL. I'm not going to tune in for a game that means nothing at the end of the year when nobody wants to get hurt anyway.
By the way, if the players you voted for happen to make it to the Super Bowl, you don't get them anyway.
Exactly. Right. And like, and then, in the previous, before they changed the format, you're going to have guys coming off of the Super Bowl and, are they going to disrupt their week-long celebrations to go and play in the Pro Bowl? No, thank you. So yeah, it's just, like ex-players having an aneurysm about it. I thought was funny. And I get it. They came from a different era of the sport. But now, like, you got to understand, man, these players, they are their own business. So they're not going to go risk business for the sake of a game that means nothing.
Hey, listen, Dion talked about making business decisions during NFL games that counted. And you're shocked that guys are going to do that now. But I'm talking Pro Bowl.
The hilarious thing is he was on Dan Patrick last week kind of bashing the players for not playing hard the Pro Bowl. I'm like,
hey, listen, make a tackle first, Hippie.
Did you skirt a tackle? And I mean, smart, whatever. I'm not judging the decision to protect oneself.
You're judging the preaching going against it.
That's
later.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Like, and like I said, these guys are not going to go out and risk blowing a knee out and all of this when it's a game that means nothing. Go out, have fun with it, make a skills competition out of it. Incorporate celebrities into it. Like, you can find way into the weekend. You can find ways to make it an quote unquote must see TV, because the Pro Bowl ain't that.
Yeah, no. Now there was a time where it was starting to get rescued, I think, right? They did the system with the captains and the guest alumni coaches. What was it the first year? It was Jerry and Dion, I think.
Yes.
And they picked the teams. That went really well. And Jim, they were still hitting. And it was awesome that the first flag thrown in that system was team-on-team crime with a helmet-to-helmet hit. 2 Chiefs hit each other. It was perfect. Well, then Tyler Eifert happened, and people started to get worried, you know.
I mean, my favorite Pro Bowl moment is still obviously Sean Taylor lighting up a punter, and then they, and hey, if you don't want me to hit, don't put me in a game. Like I love the quote, I love the play.
And since then, the hardest thing to get hit is a Patriots mascot by a Jets safety. You know.
I forgot about that. All right, let's close with this. Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2022 announced. Tony Baselli, Leroy Butler, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Bryant Young, Cliff Branch, Art McNally, and Dick Vermeil. The sad thing about it is that I think there was more reaction to who didn't get in to who did get in, and I know a lot of people upset that Devin Hester did not get in this year. What do you think Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer, and B, should he have gotten in this year?
I would have voted thus. Yes. Am I mad he didn't get in first ballot? No. And nobody should be mad that they didn't get in first ballot unless they're Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. And by the way, EJ, notice how I put Tom Brady in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though I don't think he's the GOAT. You caught that? You hippie?
They got all the goats.
I'm about to have a teary-eyed moment, Jim Neese.
These are all the new goats.
That was wonderful.
I had it all ready for him, and he isn't here.
Son of a!
We'll get a text. We'll get a text tomorrow.
Anyways, boy, you derailed your own damn show, son.
I did. I certainly did.
Yeah, Devin. Right, Devin Hester. Yeah, I would have voted thus. I'm not mad he's not there. You know, I have some people correctly pounding the table that Don Coryell is not in yet. There's two coaches that utilized his system in Jimmy Johnson and now Dick Vermeil that are in, and he isn't. Hey, listen, Jerry Kramer had to wait how long, fools? Okay, that's a thing. For those who don't know, Jerry Kramer's the pulling guard in the Lombardi sweep, and he didn't get in until the 2000s. What's wrong with
Art Monk waited far too long.
Yeah,
to get in.
Right.
It happens. It's not great, but it happens.
Well, and with the criteria that it takes to get into the hall, the alleged low bar, according to Richard Sherman.
Right.
Sorry, buddy. You were a great interview, but the facts of the case are these, my dude. But yeah, I think I don't feel like there was anybody on that list who's undeserving. Heck, Leroy Butler was my favorite Packer for a while because I didn't buy into the Favre hype. You know.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody here undeserving.
Right. I think you said it was less about excitement and more about, hey, who got snubbed.
I've heard the word boring class thrown around.
Okay, you know,
right.
It's boring because all the choices are safe and correct.
Yes. I mean, and there is no flash. There's no, you're not. There's no Michael Irvin in this class. There's no Randy Moss in this class.
Leroy Butler might be the flashiest dude in the class. That's correct.
Right. So, but like, when you're talking about the best football players of all time, it's not just flash and flare. Like people forget that, in the 11 offense, 11 defense, 11 special teams. Oh, and then coaching staffs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's more than just the best wide receiver, the best quarterback, the best running back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, as offensive linemen go, I'm pretty damn flashy.
Dan Patrick, they had this as a poll question last week, and I figured this with the Hall of Fame talk. For the record, I think Devin Hester should and will get in.
Oh, he's going to get
like
in.
Everybody that's
and he can thank Rank Guy for cementing that, by the way, because he got in 2013. I was there to cover that, and if Ray Guy gets in, Devin Hester's getting in.
yeah, Hester's absolutely getting in. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
You know, and because like here's the thing. Yes, he was the best, our special teams player of all time.
Well,
But
returner at the very least.
Returner. Beyond that, there's not much else there. So like,
not a good receiver. Correct.
You know what I mean? So
failed at being a defensive back.
Let's breathe a little bit on the Devin Hester thing. But Dan Patrick, they had a poll question the one day, and would you rather be a Super Bowl champion without getting into the Hall of Fame, or would you rather be a Hall of Famer without a Super Bowl ring?
It doesn't get any easier for me on this question, Jim.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any easier. What's the purpose of the Hall of Fame is to honor greatness. And you as a player, if you get voted in, hey, I didn't get the chance to be on a team that was good enough. I didn't get a chance to have that lightning in a bottle strike. Look at all the ish that has to go right. The Rams had a stacked, damn near, you could call the Rams very easily an all-star team, and still only won by 3 points. Now I can point out various things that went wrong. Beckham's injury, the missed call, and for all the people that want to complain about the officiating in the Super Bowl, you need to chill the bleep out, okay? If you're going to point to a game with officiating being a problem, this ain't it, homie. Okay?
We'll get back to my only issue with the officiating isn't that correct calls were made at the end, because I'm not even faulting the call. My issue, and I think Tony Dungy put it best, is you called a game very loosely. You let him play, and I know everybody goes to the face mask grab on the Bengals touchdown.
Correct.
There was a camera shot that showed you, one of the replays, why that flag was not thrown. That side judge didn't see that face mask.
Oh, the angle was horrible from his perspective. I 100% agree.
He did not see that face. He saw guys hand checking, and he saw one guy fall down.
Yet another reason, by the way, this isn't the game to complain about.
Correct. But my only gripe, because the officiating did not lose that game for the Bengals.
Clearly not. Even if you're one of these people who are griping about the false start before the ticky-tack call in question.
Right. My only gripe with the officiating is you called a game very loosely. And don't get me wrong, I love that. For 57 minutes? And then you called it a very different way for the last couple minutes. That's my only complaint about it.
I can answer for that, though.
Okay.
I can answer for that, though. And again, please understand you're putting me in the incredibly awkward position of defending people who are in the same breath with Mike Piera and Blandino and those D-bags who have always been bad at their jobs as analysts and on the field. Let me be clear about that. I like that the ref threw it on that one after a long time of silence. Because first of all, it's like trying to say everybody should get their comment on an argument, even if your argument is I should blow up the world with a nuclear weapon in a political situation. No, we shouldn't. You're wrong. Factual or not, no, that's not a viable option. We shouldn't be fair and balanced about that. You shouldn't get that opinion, okay? Just because a call happened late or a bunch of fouls were committed late, the teams are fighting more desperately. More ish is going to happen at the end of the game, and the officials need to be ready for the desperation. It's the bleeping Super Bowl, mother bleepers! Okay? That's my opening pitch. Second, let's say that call wasn't made. All we have to change. You're going to try to tell me that the public at large wouldn't still be bitching and somebody wouldn't be saying, oh, but he wasn't going to call it if he didn't grab him. This is bullshit that we're even talking about that.
That's fair.
There's no winning damn scenario here, especially when it has the opportunity to be a winning Super Bowl catch.
That's fair. like I said,
Listen, I'm not EJ. I argue with facts. Okay.
right. And like I said, at no point was I ever saying that it was the officiating that cost the Bengals the game.
Correct. Just like when you were watching that, you never said that you forgot about the face mask that was let go. Your tweet acted like you did, but you didn't.
Right. And I had already on Twitter, I had already defended the point that there is no debating that the face mask was grabbed.
And that if it happened to Notre Dame, you would still be bitching.
You're 100% correct. But if Notre Dame was on offense on that play, I would be defending the official because he didn't see it. But my point was with the face mask, and especially because I thought the NFL or NBC did a great job, and they only showed it once, which I feel like they probably should have shown that replay a few more times. Is you can clearly see that the angle that the referee was at, there was no seeing that penalty.
By the way, good job by Al Michaels carrying two talentless freaking Collinsworths on that staff during calling that game, by the way.
The Collinsworths are awful. Yeah, Devin, I mean, in one way or the next, the Bengals screwed the Bengals. The Bengals, I wouldn't go that far. It's a play. Devin's a wrestling guy. It's a play on Vince McMahon's classic Brett screwed Brett after the
okay. Because listen, can we give Aaron Charlet Donald a little bit? No,
it's a play on a classic wrestling promo.
Okay, well, hey, you know that's not my house. I
exactly.
Respect
that's why I had to clarify because we were
going to. Thank you for the translation.
We were going to go down another road, but yes. The Bengals bangled a little bit and did things to themselves. Heck, they're a young team. Mistakes are going to happen. They'll be back, or it will.
It's the Super Bowl. Both sides made mistakes.
Right.
Cooper Kupp was basically useless in the first half.
And exactly. And will the Bengals? They may not get back to the Super Bowl. We can't ever guarantee that, but
I like their chances, though.
Certainly should be in play, for at least for the next couple of seasons. But back to the question at hand. Rather be Super Bowl champ without a Hall of Fame, or without a Super Bowl?
Super Bowl champion, because there are tons, and I mean tons, of Hall of Famers ain't no one ever heard of. Now, granted, I'm an offensive lineman. If I made the NFL, nobody would have heard of me, but that's not the point. At the end of the day, Mike Jones, the guy that made the tackle at the 1 yard line, is never buying a drink ever again in St. Louis. Okay? Hall of Famer Mike Jones. Nobody knows that ish. It's a fun story to tell at parties.
Wait, you had 3 beers? $38.50.
Apparently he bought his beers in LA. Holy shit. But yes, it is that expensive. Yeah, I mean, you get a ring with the Hall of Fame, but nobody will recognize. You come and walking in with a gold jacket, a couple people will talk to you because you have the gold jacket. If you're a Super Bowl winner, people will see your face and gravitate to you.
Yeah. I will answer it the same way in a similar fashion. I remember there was it was one of the few times where Charlie Weiss, as the head coach of Notre Dame, brought a smile to anybody in South Bend's face. But he was I remember his first year when they were at this point, I think they were like 7-1. Like they did a 60 Minutes interview on him, and they asked him about how you've never you never played football, you've coached in the NFL. How do you convince a recruit to come to Notre Dame? He goes, well, this is where I get a little bit quiet and I start to think. And he scratches his head a bit, and you see 4 gigantic Super Bowl rings across the just
the gym's over there, son.
Right? So Nick Foles never buying a drink in Philadelphia.
We
Nick
only
Foles
know
is not
his
a
name.
Hall of Fame quarterback, but Nick Foles has one of the best moments in Super Bowl history with the Philly. So the answer to me, yes, is Super Bowl. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the Hall of Fame, But if you're giving me either, if you're giving me one or the other, it's absolutely Super Bowl. That's why, that's why you play the game.
You play to win the game.
Like Hall of Fame, great, sure, enshrine me, whatever. If I get that ring on my mantle, I'm doing pretty well.
I'm pretty sure you just asked Roger Goodell to freeze you in carbonite. But listen, the Hall of Fame was my first credentialed event with the outlet that you are associated with. It's a museum.
Yeah,
it's a museum. There's a lot of things there that belong in a museum. There was the first decorated leather helmet in Rams colors as part of my SoFi Stadium tour. Okay?
Man,
it
cool.
belongs in a museum, but it's privately owned. And it being a museum, I go to that museum to learn the names of these people, like the Mike Joneses. But what's made, or what is it? The first guy to ever be involved in a trade also shares my last name. All that kind of stuff. His name was Nasty Nash. I'm like, damn.
Wow.
My college life was a thing back in the 30s. Anyways, no, but the players in the hall, I have to look you up to know who you are in a lot of cases. The people in Super Bowls, I know who you are.
Like, here's the thing: you need to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Hockey Hall of Fame, any Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You need the people that are going there are huge fans of whatever that museum is for.
And
same with
people
any
who are archived in those places need to be remembered.
Or there's a interest there.
Yes.
Like, I want to go to the Air and Space Museum because I want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because you're not going to get a casual football fan to go to Canton, Ohio. Like, you're just not. I've been there. There's not much to it.
There's nothing else in Canton.
There's a Hall of Fame museum. There's a football field, and there's probably like an IHOP. That's about it.
That's a great point, Jim. Here, I'll put the icing on the cake for you. What makes the Hall of Fame induction great? Is it the hall, or is it the MFers hanging out there that were Super Bowl winners that happen to be in the hall? Nobody goes to the hall to see Dave Robinson. No, I didn't say the Admiral David Robinson of the NBA. I mean the Lombardi linebacker I watched get inducted along with Chris Carter and Warren Sapp, Dave Robinson. You don't know that name, but you know the Super Bowl winners.
How many people watched the Super Bowl? How many people go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Museum in a year? I mean, there's your answer if you're asking me. Couple questions here from Jason before we close this thing up for the week. He says Carson Wentz gets cut and Jimmy G lands there.
If that happens, crown the Colts. I said it. A stable quarterback, a good offensive line, and an MVP caliber running back. They draft or get a good receiver in free agency. The Titans, who have proven themselves useless, it's the Colts division. I said it.
Yeah, I mean, look at
Pardon my thunder. I didn't mean to kill you like that, Jim.
No. Look at the last couple weeks of the season with the Colts. Carson Wentz is why Jonathan Taylor wasn't the MVP, and the Colts didn't get to the playoffs. Like, let's be honest about it. Like, I live an hour and a half from Philadelphia. I don't see a lot of Eagle fans. Right, a year ago, they were sad to see Carson Wentz go. I don't see anybody sad to see the reports that the Colts may be possibly moving on from Carson Wentz. And in fact, they're laughing about it.
Oh, yeah. You don't see excitement. Hey, maybe he'll be coming back here to Philly. That's your proof.
Like, and here's the thing. Most of those friends of mine that are Eagles fans aren't even sold as Jalen Hurts is the answer.
Watching Jalen Hurts for them.
Hey, there we go.
But
none of them are going, hey, I'm ready to be done with Hurts. let's get Wentz back here. Like, I have not seen that from a single Eagles fan.
And only Jags fans were dumb enough to think Nick Foles was a good idea. But I digress.
Well, I mean, the Bears did it too. And then
10th best team in the league.
And then he says, regardless of Burrow losing Super Bowl, recent young quarterbacks playing for awful teams, who do you think could be a superstar quarterback and potential Hall of Fame talent?
I mean, I think we're looking at it with Joe. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we're looking at it with Joe. Herbert needs to win something to get there. I mean, define young quarterbacks too. Like, are we talking about second year, first year dudes? You know, I think Trevor Lawrence with the right coach and a good draft could become playoff relevant and then draw attention to become Super Bowl contenders. Unfortunately, I think Trent Baalke's a problem, and that won't happen.
Yeah.
If they don't fire Trent Baalke, Trevor Lawrence will be in another uniform. I'm calling it.
Oh, after his rookie deal?
Yes. Once his rookie deal is complete, I agree.
I agree because he's too good to be there if they don't commit to building a better Jaguars team in franchise. So yeah, and I think I'm sure he understands that as well. Burrow, I think you can use all the nicknames you want to use around him, but I mean, the guy is a star. The Bengals need to build that offensive line for the love of God.
Yes, I see your sign there, Woody Page.
Yes. Protect that man for the love of God. Because
and listen, I got schooled by James Jones, and you could see the interview with James Jones on my Twitter and IG, the SOTG. Good boy. And he dunked on me hard in a way I like. It's like, yes, sir, but have another. You know, he's like, it ain't going to take one offensive lineman to change it. Okay, it ain't going to just be one lineman that fixes that line.
Oh, absolutely not.
All right. They need at least a center and a tackle.
A tackle.
Tackle. Good boy, Jim. You're on fire tonight, Jim.
Look at the Dallas Cowboys. Like Tyron Smith, they're still trying to prop him up with a bad back and two bad legs.
I'm picturing him playing O-line like Weekend at Bernie's style, you know?
Right. I mean, that's practically what they've been doing because they've tried to they've tried to fix the whole thing by trying to fix unsuccessfully one position, and the whole thing's not working.
Right.
And that's a problem for them. It's a big problem for the Bengals. But like, I mean, are we still considering Lamar Jackson young? I mean,
I was going to ask.
He
won't make the Hall of Fame because there's too many damn haters out there, unless he wins a Super Bowl.
Right. I think because I mean, we're obviously not talking Mahomes. I think he's already probably in the superstar Hall of Fame category already. But yeah, Lamar should be in that conversation. Burrow is in that conversation.
I'll give you another should be. We would be saying weren't for his franchise, he should be. But now weren't for his franchise, ... and legal troubles,
Ooh.
Deshaun Watson would be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, he should have gotten the MVP last year. I can make a case.
Yeah.
He was just on a crap team, you know.
Yeah. And that's going to be one of those very interesting and very complex offseason stories.
But yeah, I mean, as in the youngest dude that would be currently the biggest air quotes surprise to get to the Hall, I'm going to go Justin Herbert. If he finds a way, if the Chiefs continue to chief, yes, like that, and the Chargers find a way to take advantage, get out of the division winning it, and I won't necessarily say Super Bowl. Let's just say they do, their best Philadelphia Eagles and get to the championship game a few times without getting to the Super Bowl. I think Herbert has the potential to boost himself to that place, especially when you consider San Diego Charger quarterback history. Who you got? Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers.
Skip Rivers.
Whoa! You know.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. I think Herbert's great. I think it's going to have to take the Chargers to get out of their own way in the postseason. But if they can do that, and yeah, you don't need to win Super Bowls to be a Hall of Famer or a quote unquote superstar, but you have to have some success there. You have to have some success. Last one, Jason, we'll hit this one, then we'll get out of here. What QBs as of now has had the biggest decline? Murray, Wilson, Watson, Wentz.
Well, Christ, I mean, by default, you have to say Watson, right? Like, we're not even sure he'll hit the damn field.
Right.
You know, but without taking, I'm not going to be a wimp and take that safe answer, though. Wentz.
Well, here's the thing, because his decline, when I see has had the biggest decline, I think on the field. Deshaun Watson, his decline
hasn't happened.
The legal issues have taken him off the field. If he's on the field, I don't think he is declined.
Yeah, that's why I call that a lazy answer.
Yeah, it is at 100%, because and I'm backing that up.
Wentz isn't because the distance dropped isn't very far, right? Rusty hasn't really declined. He's just gotten hurt. So I can't give that answer either.
I mean, as far Murray's gotten hurt too. Murray was banged up this year.
He was. Freaking Colt McCoy winning games. Damn. Like, what? As far as quarterback declines, like, I don't know why we aren't talking, no offense, Jim, about Dakota Prescott's struggles in a sorry division. I don't know why we're not talking about any situations surrounding, I'll even say, I mean, like he mentioned Wentz, like, what about Jared Goff? Like, there's a dude who's, slumped. And he wasn't that, again, the line isn't as far. I don't think he's the biggest decline because Wentz, the line started lower for them. So I could argue a by default situation that Rusty's the biggest drop off, but again, that's due to injuries. So are we counting that? I don't really know the rules of engagement there.
I mean,
one could argue Jimmy G if they really want to be make it a platitude.
Sure. I mean, I think a fair answer is Dak Prescott.
That's where that's where I want to go, but I don't necessarily think all of his fault either.
Before his injury, he was on pace for 6,000 yards in 2021 or in 2020. This year he came back and they started great. That Cowboys offense was clicking. And then now you can blame offensive line injuries. You can blame wide receiving core.
I can blame playing against the Falcons defense, giving us false hope the previous year, whatever.
You can the receiving core getting wiped out with COVID, and then Kellen fucking Moore, but that's a whole different situation in and of itself.
Jim needs a hug.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's no denying from where he was before the injury, where he was to start this year, into where they were. Because going into this season, you can go back to the preseason version of this show. My stance with the Cowboys was I have no doubt that this offense is fine. It's a matter of what can the defense do. You get to by the end of that season, the defense, for the most part, was fine. It was the offense that I had doubt in. And a lot of that had to do with the passing game. Now, do I think the shoulder injury that Dak had early in the year was lingering all year as well? Absolutely. Because he
just like Jimmy G.
Right, like he was underthrowing balls all season. But all of that goes together when you're talking about a decline.
Do Ben and Baker qualify as candidates?
I would say no to Ben because I mean,
So, because I'll tell you, for me, the answer to both is no, because I knew they sucked and would suck this year.
well, and I
Right.
mean,
Well, and I can't say that. No, I can't. Yeah, I can say that.
from
I had the
expectation to
Yeah, I had the Browns winning 12 games on the strength of the ground game and Baker managing it.
and he didn't
So,
manage.
correct.
And he didn't manage. So Baker, I think, is fair and in play, just be based on expectation. But Ben, I don't think, because like Ben to me was never the greatest, especially over the last couple of years. Father
Right.
Time and probably beer and bread have not been kind to Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't think
feel
Ben's,
attacked.
I don't no judgment here.
Easy popcorn.
no judgment here. Yeah, because I mean it's father time is at play.
Oh yeah. No, right. And again, we're back to
let's
the
be honest, I
expectation.
mean, Tom Brady at 45 or whatever he is was not the same quarterback that he was at 35.
I don't think anybody's prepared to call that a disappointment.
No. I'm not saying
Yeah.
decline, but I'm just saying that's that's an age play. Age is going to change a quarterback. Period. That you know what I mean. That's.
We tried to answer your question as best as we could, bro. Is what we're saying. Like, there's
I'll
a lot of
take that.
criteria we would like you to fill in.
My answer to that question is Dak Prescott.
Damn, the fanboy going Dakota. Okay, like that was my first instinct.
I'm not a happy Cowboys fan after the second half of this season.
Fool, when the hell have you been a happy Cowboys fan?
Like once.
You know, like the 90s. That's what it was. Like,
yeah, I was 10. I didn't know any better.
Even EJ, when he was all like, the Cowboys can win the Super Bowl, you were like, bitch,
I blame him
please.
for everything that happened to the Cowboys in the second half of this season. I blame that motherfucker. That things looked great until he put the word Super Bowl contender around the Dallas fucking Cowboys. So damn it, EJ, I blame you.
That's when it runs deep, is when you play the Tool Time theme while you talk about how you played him.
EJ, when you hear this, send the text.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Zeke is done. Amari's overrated. The coach we fired. Okay. Zeke isn't done. Zeke
is not worth his money.
Where they were at by the end of the year, I thought the Cowboys running game was perfect. I thought they had a good two-headed monster with Zeke and Tony Pollard. The problem is Zeke gets paid too much to be a two-headed monster. So they either need to restructure that deal or they need to move on from him. Amari Cooper was great until apparently he has COVID hands, if that's a thing, because he was great until he got COVID, and then that was the problem. Will Mike McCarthy get fired in six? No, McCarthy's not going to get fired in 6 games because the division is still hot trash and the Cowboys will still win the division. It's beyond that they won't do anything. No, McCarthy's not getting fired in 6 games next year. He'll be the coach at the end of the year. Then he'll probably get fired because they'll lose in the first round.
I'll see that prediction and raise you. They'll win the division. They'll make the playoffs and they'll get beat again by an NFC West team. I just can't tell you which one yet.
I will wholeheartedly agree with you because that's the most plausible scenario at this point. It's a first round exit. They are really going, and I'm sure we'll you can remind me of this date sometime when I'm starting to buy the bullshit again in late October.
The Ides of February.
Right. Well, you can cite this when I'm buying the bullshit in October, but I have no reason to believe that next year's Cowboys will be any different than this year's Cowboys. So.
You mean when EJ starts buying
hey EJ.
Joe Buck yourself.
And it's appropriate.
It's so perfect. All right, Kyle, let the people know where they can keep track of what you're doing.
Listen, Jim, an honor, joy, and privilege to bid farewell to this season of football. Thankfully, the black and gold banneret will keep me from wanting to do horrible things to myself without a lack of football, because I will be covering college basketball for the UCF Knights and and men's and women's both. So hey, whether or not you're frustrated with the men's team, the women's team are dominating the American current. So hey, there's a positive thing all the way around for UCF fans out there for college basketball. Yes, Jim.
Jason, hold that last. The teams that didn't make the playoffs will next season. Hold that. We'll
The Steelers.
Yeah, but we'll those are some of those fun questions we'll address on another show another week.
Next week we will have the 3-point conversions, Karita Parks, by the way, so we can talk about whether or not the commies decision is a good thing.
I called them the Commodores the one day to somebody, and I'm like, maybe that's even better than the Commanders. But yeah, we'll dive into that.
It limits it to the Navy. That's why they wouldn't do that. Anyways, of course, check out my work with UCF college basketball in the black and gold banner, and also some things football as well. As hey, listen, it's starting to bring the spring game here coming up here in a few weeks. That should be interesting, and any sort of draft talk for any other UCF players coming up there too. Check that out on the black and gold banneret.com. Of course, my work on the 3-point conversion. That's the number 3, not the word 3. Going to the Super Bowl media week there. So that was a great time all the way around. And if you want to check out my Super Bowl work, best way to do that is the SOTG on Twitter and on Instagram, as well as the Student of the Game on Facebook. And hey, listen, in a couple weeks, we'll be back recording with Hilarity by Default. Me and my friend Demosthenes Euclid. Both our Wednesdays will start to free up. I have 5 UCF college basketball home games until the conference tournament and the dance, of course. And he will have time freed off of his busy video editing schedule that he does by day. So that should be fun all the way around. Big Jim, football, man, football is awesome.
Oh,
I do that with EJ when he's here and when he's not here. And I recorded that this afternoon. Apparently him not being able to handle the truth put him under the weather for this show. But honor, joy, and privilege, my friend. Until next time, class dismissed.
Absolutely. Always a good one, Kyle. Yeah, join us next week. As we will talk about the new name of the Washington football franchise, what I call them before, the football team formerly known as the football team. Hell, I think that might even be better what they went with. But we'll talk about all that next week. More details will be posted on the social media, so make sure you're paying attention and following along at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also make sure you subscribe to the show, all podcast platforms, and on YouTube. Just find the link tree on all of our social media pages. You can, of course, follow me at Big Jim Sports. Get the merchandise at whatamaneuver.net. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win.